Ladies and gentlemen, we often search outside of ourselves for the answers, for the success, or for the peace we long for. We seek it in relationships, in accomplishments, in possessions, or in the approval of others. Yet what if I told you that the very thing we seek is already within us? What if the power to transform our lives, to experience true joy and fulfillment, lies not in anything external, but in the depths of our own being? The power within you is not something to be gained or acquired. It is something to be realized. It is the quiet stillness beneath the constant chatter of the mind, the space where all possibilities arise. When you learn to connect with this stillness, you begin to understand that the external world, no matter how powerful or intimidating it may seem, cannot touch the peace that resides within. Now, we often hear about the importance of being present, of living in the now, and while these ideas are familiar, their true depth may still elude us. The present moment is where the power resides. When you focus your attention fully on the here and now, you tap into an endless source of energy and creativity. The future and the past are simply constructs of the mind, illusions that distract us from the power of the present. True power comes from within, and it is deeply rooted in the ability to cultivate inner peace and stillness. In the hustle and bustle of our daily lives, we often find ourselves chasing after external sources of validation, success, and happiness. We tend to look for these in achievements, possessions, or the approval of others. However, these external pursuits can never provide the lasting sense of fulfillment we crave. True power, the kind that is unwavering and ever present, is not something to be found outside of ourselves. It is already within, waiting to be discovered. At the core of this inner power lies the concept of stillness. When we can quiet the noise of our thoughts and the distractions of the world around us, we open ourselves to a deeper connection with our true selves. This stillness is not a passive state. It is an active, intentional presence. In this space, we are no longer dominated by the mind's constant chatter or the expectations placed upon us by society. We are free to exist without the need for validation or approval. This inner stillness is the gateway to true power, because it allows us to experience life without the filter of our fears, anxieties, or judgments. The mind often gets caught up in worries about the future or regrets about the past. It tends to ruminate over problems, overthinking them to the point of paralysis. But when we learn to quiet the mind and embrace stillness, we shift from a state of constant reaction to a place of calm presence. From this space, we can respond to life's challenges with clarity and wisdom, rather than being driven by emotional reactions. We find the clarity to access our true strength. The more we learn to tune into the quiet of our minds, the more we become aware of the deeper currents of energy that lie beneath the surface of our thoughts. This energy is not bound by time or space. It is the universal force that connects all living things. It is a power that cannot be controlled or manipulated, but rather it is something we can align with. By aligning ourselves with this deeper current, we are able to tap into a flow of vitality and creativity that is far more profound than anything we could achieve through external means. Cultivating inner peace and stillness requires practice. It is not something that happens overnight, but through intentional moments of quiet and self-reflection, we can begin to access this deeper power. Meditation, mindfulness, and breath work are tools that help guide us into this space of stillness, where we can release the distractions of the mind and connect with our essence. Even a few minutes of stillness each day can have a transformative effect, allowing us to restore balance and reconnect with our inner strength. Okay? If the rise up tide is shifting in your organization, this could be the perfect time to dismantle the 1995 culture and start over. The key to unlocking the power within is not about striving or forcing anything. It is about surrendering to the present moment and embracing it fully without resistance. When we let go of the need to control or manipulate our circumstances, we open ourselves to the flow of life. In this space of stillness, we are reminded of our inherent power and the truth that we are whole, complete, and capable of navigating whatever comes our way with grace and confidence. Inner peace and stillness are not just states of being, they are the foundation upon which true power is built. True power resides in the present moment. The past and the future are constructs of the mind, often filled with either regret or anxiety. Yet the present moment is the only real time we have, and it is in this moment that we hold the ability to transform our lives. When we learn to fully immerse ourselves in the here and now, we tap into a boundless source of energy, creativity, and clarity that is unavailable when we are lost in thoughts about what has been or what might be. The present moment holds the key to unlocking the power within, because it is the only time in which we can truly act. The past is gone, and the future has not yet arrived. Clinging to the past or worrying about the future only drains us of our mental and emotional energy. By shifting our attention to the present, we release ourselves from the burden of these time-based illusions and open ourselves to the power of now. When we are fully present, we can act with greater clarity and purpose. Our mind is no longer clouded by regrets about what we could have done differently or fears about what is yet to come. Instead, we make decisions from a place of awareness, free from the distractions of past mistakes or future uncertainties. This enables us to live with greater intention and authenticity, as we are no longer driven by unconscious patterns or external expectations. Every moment becomes an opportunity to choose how we respond to life, and it is from this place of presence that we can make empowered choices. Living in the present moment also allows us to cultivate a sense of peace. When we're caught up in thoughts about the past or future, we create internal conflict. We resist what is happening right now. And in doing so, we create suffering. But when we allow ourselves to fully accept the present moment as it is, without judgment, without resistance, we find that we can experience peace, even in the most challenging circumstances. The power of presence lies in the acceptance of life as it unfolds, without trying to control or change it. The present moment is where all creativity arises. When we are focused on the now, we are no longer limited by the constraints of our past experiences or future projections. The present moment is a space of infinite possibility where new ideas, insights, and solutions can emerge freely. It is in this state of presence that we are most connected to our inner creativity, and it is from this place that we can bring our highest potential to fruition. Practicing presence requires a shift in how we approach life. It involves letting go of the constant need to plan, judge, or control. Instead, we must learn to observe our thoughts and emotions without becoming attached to them. This requires mindfulness, the ability to bring our attention to the here and now without judgment or distraction. Whether it's through meditation, mindful breathing, or simply focusing on our senses, these practices help us reconnect with the present moment. The power within us is accessed when we embrace the present moment. It is in the now that we find clarity, creativity, peace, and the ability to act from a place of authenticity. By letting go of the past and future and choosing to be fully present, we align ourselves with the flow of life, allowing us to tap into a profound source of power that transcends all external circumstances. The ego plays a significant role in blocking us from accessing our true power. It is a false sense of self that is constantly in search of validation, control, and security. The ego thrives on attachment. Attachment to our identity, our possessions, our opinions, and even our roles in society. It creates a separation between who we truly are and the persona we present to the world. The ego, this false self, is constantly in conflict, seeking approval, fighting fear, and chasing after external achievements to reinforce its sense of worth, limiting beliefs or societal expectations. These stories shape how we view ourselves and our potential. By becoming aware of the narratives we have constructed about ourselves, we can begin to challenge and reframe them. We realize that we are not bound by the limitations we have imposed on ourselves or those that others have imposed on us. Self-awareness empowers us to rewrite our story, to release old beliefs, and to step into a new narrative that is aligned with our true potential. One of the most important steps toward unlocking our true power is learning to let go of the ego. The ego is not inherently bad, but it becomes problematic when we identify with it completely and allow it to dictate our lives. It is through this identification that we lose touch with our deeper sense of self, the part of us that is not dependent on external circumstances or validation. The ego creates a false narrative in our minds that tells us we are separate from others, that our worth depends on what we do or what we have, and that we must constantly defend ourselves from external threats. This narrative often leads to feelings of fear, insecurity, and inadequacy, which only further reinforce the ego's control. When we let go of our attachment to the ego, we step into a state of freedom. We no longer need to prove ourselves to the world or seek approval from others. Our worth is no longer tied to what we accomplish or how others perceive us. In this space, we reconnect with a deeper sense of being, one that is whole, complete, and free of fear. This state of being is where our true power resides. It is not dependent on any external factors. Rather, it is inherent within us, waiting to be recognized. Releasing the ego does not mean losing our individuality or becoming passive. On the contrary, when we let go of the ego, we can live more authentically. We are no longer controlled by the fear of judgment or the need to conform. We can act with greater clarity and purpose, responding to life's challenges with wisdom rather than being driven by emotional reactions or the need to protect our identity. This authenticity allows us to tap into a source of strength that is aligned with our true nature rather than the ego's distorted sense of self. The ego also thrives on comparison, constantly measuring ourselves against others. It breeds competition, jealousy, and resentment, and it often leads us to believe that there is not enough success, love, or happiness to go around. When we free ourselves from the grip of the ego, we realize that there is no need to compare ourselves to anyone. We are all unique expressions of the same universal energy, and we each have our own path to follow. This understanding fosters compassion and a sense of unity with others, allowing us to see beyond the surface and recognize the shared essence in everyone. In letting go of the ego, we also let go of the constant striving and chasing that exhausts us. The ego is always seeking, always grasping for more, but true power comes when we surrender to what is and trust in the flow of life. In this surrender, we find peace, and from this peace, our inner strength emerges naturally. When we release the ego's hold on us, we return to a state of balance and wholeness, and it is from this place of alignment that we can access our deepest power. There is a universal force, a source of energy that connects all beings and permeates all of life. This force is the essence of existence itself, the foundation upon which everything is built. When we tap into this source, we recognize that we are not isolated, separate individuals, but rather an integral part of a greater whole. The understanding of this connection is transformative. because it reveals the truth that our personal power is not an isolated or independent force, but one that is intimately linked to everything around us. In this recognition, we find strength, purpose, and a deep sense of peace. We view ourselves as separate from the world and others. The mind convinces us that we are independent entities with distinct boundaries separating us from the rest of creation. This perception of separation leads to fear, isolation, and a constant striving for validation. We feel disconnected from the world and from our true selves, which causes a sense of longing and dissatisfaction. The belief in separation is the root cause of much of our suffering. It fuels conflict, competition, and division. If we think about our lives from the perspective of a tree, when we begin to recognize the interconnectedness of all life, we realize that our personal power is not separate from the energy that flows through everything. We are part of a vast, dynamic system that is constantly in motion, and by aligning ourselves with this flow, we can access an inexhaustible source of strength and wisdom. This alignment allows us to move through life with greater ease and clarity because we no longer see ourselves as fighting against the current of life. Instead, we understand that we are an active participant in the flow of energy, and when we align with it, we can ride the waves of life with grace and purpose. Our connection to this universal energy also helps us transcend the ego's desire for control and accumulation. When we recognize that we are part of a greater whole, we no longer need to cling to external validation or material success as a way to prove our worth. We realize that we are already connected to everything we need. The sense of separation and scarcity dissolves, and in its place comes a sense of abundance and belonging. This shift in perception is incredibly powerful, as it frees us from the anxiety and fear that arise when we feel isolated or disconnected. Recognizing this connection opens us to a deeper understanding of love and compassion. When we see that we are all connected, it becomes easier to act with empathy and kindness toward others. The idea of competition or opposition falls away, and we begin to realize that the well-being of others is intertwined with our own. In this space, love becomes a natural expression of our true selves, not something we have to work for or earn. It is the energy that flows effortlessly when we recognize our interconnectedness with all life. This recognition of connection also brings a sense of peace. When we trust in the universal flow and surrender to it, we let go of the need to control outcomes or manipulate situations. We understand that everything is unfolding as it should, and that we are part of a larger divine plan. This understanding brings a profound sense of peace, as we no longer feel the need to fight against life or struggle to maintain a sense of control. By tapping into the universal force that connects us all, we access a deeper power, one that is grounded in the understanding that we are never truly separate. We are part of something far greater than ourselves, and in this realization, we find strength, peace, and purpose. The more we align with this source, the more we tap into the infinite potential that resides within us, and the more we can live in harmony with the world around us. Self-awareness is the key to unlocking our true power, as it allows us to observe our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without getting entangled in them. When we cultivate the ability to step back and observe our inner world from a place of detachment, we begin to break free from unconscious patterns and gain access to a deeper understanding of ourselves. This awareness creates space between our experiences and our reactions, giving us the power to choose how we respond to life, rather than simply reacting from habit or conditioned responses. We operate on autopilot. Our minds are consumed by an endless stream of thoughts, many of which we don't consciously control or even recognize. These thoughts can be based on past experiences, fears, or assumptions, and they shape the way we perceive the world. Often, we identify with our thoughts, believing them to be an accurate reflection of reality, and in doing so, we lose touch with our true selves. However, when we cultivate self-awareness, we begin to realize that we are not our thoughts. We are the observers of our thoughts. This realization is powerful because it means we are no longer at the mercy of our minds. We no longer have to be controlled by the automatic reactions of the ego or the judgments of the mind. Instead, we can observe our thoughts without judgment, recognizing them as temporary and transient rather than as fixed truths. This shift in perspective creates space between our thoughts and our actions, allowing us to respond with greater clarity and wisdom rather than simply reacting out of fear or habit. Self-awareness also involves understanding our emotions. Our emotions are often driven by unconscious beliefs and patterns, and they can influence our actions in ways we are not always conscious of. When we become aware of our emotional responses, we can trace them back to the underlying thoughts or beliefs that triggered them. This insight allows us to address the root causes of our emotions, rather than merely reacting to them in the moment. It is through this understanding that we can begin to release emotional patterns that no longer serve us, creating space for more constructive, peaceful, and aligned emotional responses. Self-awareness also involves recognizing the stories we tell ourselves. Often, these stories are based on past experiences. As we deepen our self-awareness, we also develop a greater sense of presence. We learn to be more attuned to the moment, to our surroundings, and to the people we interact with. This presence allows us to connect more deeply with others and with the world around us, because we are no longer distracted by the noise of the mind or the pull of past and future concerns. We become fully engaged in the present, and in doing so, we tap into a deeper sense of power and purpose. Self-awareness is a transformative practice that allows us to step out of the grip of unconscious patterns and live more intentionally. It frees us from the limitations of the ego and the mind, enabling us to access our true power. By observing our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without judgment, we begin to live with greater clarity, wisdom, and authenticity. This self-awareness is the foundation of personal growth, as it enables us to make empowered choices and align with our deeper truth. True power comes when we align mind, body, and spirit in unity. When these three aspects of our being are in harmony, we experience a sense of wholeness and balance that is fundamental to accessing our inner strength. In our daily lives, it is easy to become fragmented. Our thoughts and emotions can often lead us in different directions, and our physical bodies can become disconnected from our sense of inner purpose. However, when we consciously work to integrate the mind, body, and spirit, we tap into a deeper well of power and presence. Mind is where we process thoughts, ideas, and beliefs. It is often the most active part of our being, constantly engaging with the world around us. However, when the mind is not in alignment with our true essence, it can become a source of confusion, fear, and distraction. We are often consumed by the stories we tell ourselves, the judgments we make, and the constant analysis of what has happened or what might happen. This mental activity can prevent us from being fully present and connected with our true power. When the body is not aligned with the mind or spirit, it can become a source of discomfort, illness, and imbalance. Or the deeper essence of who we are, is often the least acknowledged aspect of our being. It is the part of us that is connected to the universal source of energy and wisdom. Our spirit is the center of our true power, and it is through the spirit that we experience love, compassion, and purpose. When we are disconnected from our spirit, we feel lost, directionless, and empty. We may look for fulfillment in external things, but this search will never bring us true peace. Our spirit is the source of our inner guidance, and when we are in tune with it, we are able to navigate life with clarity and purpose. We experience a sense of inner peace that radiates out into all aspects of our lives. The mind becomes clearer, less clouded by negative thoughts and distractions. The body becomes more relaxed and energized as we learn to listen to its needs and honor its rhythms. The spirit becomes the guiding force behind our actions, bringing us into alignment with our deepest values and purpose. The process of bringing the mind, body, and spirit into alignment requires conscious effort. Practices like mindfulness, meditation, and yoga can help cultivate this harmony. Mindfulness allows us to become more aware of our thoughts and emotions, enabling us to observe them without becoming attached to them. Meditation helps us to quiet the mind, creating space for a deeper connection with our spirit. Yoga and other physical practices help to bring the body into balance, releasing tension and connecting us with the present moment. When we align these three aspects of our being, we become more resilient and centered. We are better equipped to handle life's challenges because we are no longer fragmented. Instead, we are whole, connected to our true power, and capable of responding to the world from a place of clarity, strength, and purpose. This unity brings us into harmony with ourselves and the world around us, allowing us to experience life with greater ease, joy, and fulfillment. The journey of self-mastery is integral to unlocking the power within. Self-mastery is the ability to govern one's thoughts, emotions, and actions, not through force or suppression, but through awareness, discipline, and conscious choice. It is the art of understanding and guiding oneself rather than being ruled by external circumstances or internal impulses. This is not about perfection or control, but about the conscious effort to remain aligned with one's true self and act from a place of integrity, clarity, and wisdom. Mastering the self begins with the recognition that we are not our thoughts or emotions. Often we let our thoughts dictate our reality, believing them to be an accurate reflection of the world. We identify with every emotion we feel, believing that we are at the mercy of our internal state. In reality, thoughts and emotions are transient, and we have the power to choose how we respond to them. By observing our inner world without attachment or judgment, we gain the freedom to decide which thoughts to entertain and which to release. This observation is the first step in self-mastery because it removes the illusion that we are helplessly swept away by our internal world. Another aspect of self-mastery is emotional regulation. Emotions are natural, and they serve as important signals that inform us about our needs, desires, and reactions. However, when we allow our emotions to dominate, they can lead to impulsive actions and create unnecessary conflict. Self-mastery involves recognizing emotions as they arise and learning to respond thoughtfully rather than reacting blindly. For instance, when anger arises, instead of letting it explode, self-mastery teaches us to pause, reflect, and choose a response that aligns with our values. Over time, as we practice emotional awareness, we develop greater emotional resilience and learn how to channel our emotions in constructive ways. Self-mastery also involves cultivating discipline, particularly in the face of challenges or temptations. Life is filled with distractions and situations that can pull us away from our deeper purpose. Without discipline, it is easy to get sidetracked or fall into patterns of procrastination or avoidance. Discipline in this context is not about rigid control, but about remaining aligned with our highest intentions, especially when faced with obstacles or challenges. It means making choices that are in alignment with our long-term goals, even when it is difficult or uncomfortable in the short term. Through discipline, we strengthen our inner resolve, allowing us to move forward with clarity and focus. Self-mastery involves the cultivation of patience. In today's fast-pacing world, we are often conditioned to expect immediate results or gratification. However, true self-mastery requires patience with ourselves and the process of growth. It is understanding that change does not happen overnight, and that every step, no matter how small, is part of the larger journey. Patience allows us to remain grounded even when progress feels slow, and to trust that with consistent effort, transformation will unfold naturally. Self-mastery also means taking responsibility for our actions and choices. It is recognizing that we are the creators of our own lives, and we have the power to shape our experiences through the decisions we make. When we take full responsibility for our actions, we free ourselves from blame and victimhood. We stop looking for excuses or justifications and begin to own our mistakes and learn from them. This level of personal responsibility is empowering as it reinforces the belief that we are in control of our lives and our destiny. Self-mastery is a continuous journey. It is not a destination or a final state of perfection, but an ongoing process of growth and awareness. It is about making conscious choices, staying aligned with our true self, and responding to life's challenges with clarity, resilience, and grace. The more we master ourselves, the more we are able to access our true power, moving through life with purpose and authenticity. This inner strength comes not from external forces or circumstances, but from our own ability to choose, to observe, and to act in alignment with our deepest truth. Living with purpose is the ultimate expression of the power within us. Purpose is the driving force that gives meaning to our lives and guides us in our actions. It is the clarity that comes from understanding who we are, what we stand for, and what we want to contribute to the world. When we live with purpose, we are no longer wandering aimlessly, but instead moving forward with intention and alignment. Purpose allows us to overcome challenges, stay focused, and persevere, even when faced with obstacles, because we are deeply connected to the why behind our actions. Purpose connects us to something greater than ourselves. When we live with purpose, we understand that our actions have a ripple effect, impacting the world around us. This sense of interconnectedness creates a profound sense of meaning in our lives, because we recognize that we are part of something much larger than our individual selves. Living with purpose allows us to contribute to the well-being of others, whether through our work, relationships, or service to the community. This contribution not only benefits those around us, but also enriches our own lives, creating a deep sense of fulfillment and satisfaction. Living with purpose is the key to unlocking the power within. It brings clarity, direction, and fulfillment to our lives, and it provides the inner strength to navigate the challenges we encounter along the way. When we live with purpose, we become fully engaged in our own lives, contributing to the world in a meaningful way. This alignment with purpose creates a profound sense of peace, as we no longer feel lost or disconnected, but rather we are aligned with the flow of life and the deeper truth of who we are. Purpose is the driving force that propels us forward, enabling us to live a life of meaning, fulfillment, and power. The power within each of us is not something external to be sought, but an inherent force waiting to be recognized, nurtured, and embraced. By cultivating self-awarenesses, releasing the grip of the ego, connecting with the universal energy that flows through all of life, and aligning mind, body, and spirit, we unlock the true depth of our strength. As we practice self-mastery, discipline, and patience, we become more in tune with our inner power, allowing it to guide us toward purposeful living. When we live with intention and purpose, we create a life that is not only fulfilling, but also deeply aligned with our true essence. The power within is boundless and transformative, and by tapping into it, we can navigate life's challenges with grace, contribute meaningfully to the world, and live a life of authentic empowerment.